Hello, everyone. We are back.
Hello everyone. I hope you guys all enjoyed our first video that we posted.
Yes, so here is video two. So today's topic is starting off, I'll talk about my upbringing and then Eric will share his. So for me, I'm from Houston, Texas, and I grew up middle class America. Both of my parents worked, they were blue collar workers, and I grew up around black people. Um, I don't remember any other race growing up, like when I was little, small. Everyone, all of my friends, they were black. Um, I don't think it wasn't until middle school, once my parents got divorced, that I was culturally exposed. My parents divorced. I moved to northern Houston, a town called Humble, Texas, and the middle school that I went to was predominantly white. And the neighborhood that I lived in at that time was majority white. And then there was, a few black people. And when I say a few, you can probably count on one hand. And so it was a culture shock to me. And I think at that age too, because it was around middle school, so I was going into sixth grade at the time. And I think at that time, you're really, trying to trying to discover like who you are, what you like, your friends, all of that stuff. And so it was hard. It was difficult. I experienced racism. I remember, and I've shared this story with Eric. I remember one time I was walking home from a friend's house, and there was a little girl. She was probably about 4 or 5, and she was like on her little bike. And I remember I was passing by her, and she like looked at me, and she was like, "Ooh, a black person." And I remember going home and telling my mom, like, mom, told her what the little girl said. And my mom just kind of brushed it off. But that stuck with me, and it still sticks with me. I just remember how I felt. I felt disgusted, really. Um, I don't know. It really impacted me. And I remember like there was some boys in the neighborhood because I used to ride the school bus, and so I would have to, go to the bus stop in the morning for school. And I remember they used to like pick on me and, just call me little names and stuff. And to be honest with you, I didn't associate it with race because I don't remember them actually calling me like the N word or anything like that. But they would just make like little comments. And so it was a very confusing time for me. I'll just put it bluntly like that. And my parents didn't talk about, sit down with me and talk about like, love yourself, black is beautiful, be confident no matter what, all those affirmations that I believe that black parents need to tell their kids. um the conversations or things that I did hear, it was negative towards white people, I will say that. It was never like a positive thing, it was always a mistrust. And my stepfather at the time, he did not, even though I found it ironic that we moved into a predominantly white neighborhood, he did not like white people. So I found that very interesting. I remember having friends because when I went to the middle school, most of my friends were like my good friends. They were white, and I remember my mom would not let me like spend a night over their house. Like they couldn't come to my house. Like I remember asking my mom, like, "Mom, can I have a sleepover? Can Christina and Brandy, can they come to my house?" And I remember my mom was like, "Absolutely not. Like no." And with no explanation, like I did not know why. And it wasn't until later on that I understood why. And so kind of later on, as I got older, went to college for a little bit, moved to Boston and stuff like that, I just got an exposure to a lot of different cultures. I lived with a Jewish family for a few years, and I think that was very impactful to me. And my appreciation for all different types of people. They were Orthodox Jews, but they were so loving and so open to me, um, to who I was as an individual, to everybody. No prejudice about them. Even though Boston, I learned later on after I left that it's a, what I heard, and I don't know how true it is because I've never experienced it when I lived there. Boston was a racist state. Everyone that I was around pretty much, treated me wonderful. And so that was just kind of like my exposure. And then when I went into the military, I, I don't know. I don't recall, and I don't know, maybe I was naive. I was young and naive, and I was free at that time, so nothing like impacted me, afraid phased me. And I think too, when you get exposure to like racism or somebody doing things to you, I don't know, for me, and I don't know for other people, you become numb to it. I don't know, you just have a confidence about you. So if somebody is doing something towards you or against you, unless they outright say, call you a name or something like that, it doesn't impact me. I'm still going to eat my food. I'm still going to do what I want to do. That's how I look at it. So I don't know. So that's kind of like, my upbringing and kind of where I'm at, where I was up to the point that I met him.
So my upbringing was, as you could probably tell, different. I grew up in a different area with different parents. Actually, I was raised in that Scottsdale, Phoenix area.
Okay, people don't know. People are probably watching, don't know what Scottsdale, so you probably won't.
Yeah, so Scottsdale was a more affluent area. There's a lot more money involved, lot more education. People that live there, they have a higher education. But it doesn't change who the people are. Our family was different though, per se, because we were raised. My sister and I were raised by a single parent. We did have a male figure that was there. He was kind of in and out of the picture, going through his own struggles. And so, really, my mom, she did all the raising and helping us financially, getting by. But I did get to go to school in the Scottsdale area, which had an amazing level of education. I went to Chaparral High School. For some of those that are watching this that are from the Phoenix area, you may recognize Chaparral is a top educational institution. Go Firebirds! But I experienced growing up very minimal racism, even if a little bit more just the taunting, which like what Lisha was kind of explaining. You grew up realizing like, okay, well, is that really taunting, or is that something that like parents had influenced kids to do, or how to act as they're growing up? As I mentioned, my mom, she worked hard to put food on the table for my sister and I. She did a lot of things to make ends meet. And so just for that thing, that I'm like, hey, we kind of grew up differently. Like, we're coming together as two totally different people.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Did you grow up around Black people or any minorities?
Well, I grew up around hardly any minorities, and probably the sprinkle of a couple Hispanic people here and there, and that is.
And how many people were in your high school?
So up until my senior year, you could probably count on one hand how many African American Black kids that we had in our school, which is crazy. And the reason that we had more my senior year is because our football team was really starting to recruit from the outside, bringing more diversity to our school. And so up until then, until I met Lisha, I hadn't experienced too much outside of the Hispanic culture, maybe, and the white culture.
Yeah. So then that leads us into how we met. So we actually met online, And
She,
I know he
she,
loves to tell this story. I did. I reached out to
yep.
him, and the reason why I reached out to him is because he had some pictures of when he had traveled to Germany, and I had lived in Germany. And so I just thought that was interesting. You know, it was like an instant kind of like something that you can connect, connect to. And so I think I just said, I really like your pictures. When did you go to Germany? And that's kind of how it started. And so I know. So he loves. She reached out to me. I did, and it was because he had pictures on there from Germany. But anyway, but we talked, and when we transitioned into, and friends, into started dating, for me personally, it wasn't a huge impact on my life, because at that point I had dated different types of guys. Yeah, so I, dated, black guys, white guys, Asian guys, guys from other countries. So for me, it wasn't impactful. It was just another guy in my life. That's how I looked at it. But I have to tell you from outside, though, because when I was dating a lot of people outside of quote unquote my race that were not, minority, I was, not near my family. And so when I became serious with him, I, kind of some of the responses that I received was like, is there no, black guys in Arizona? And I remember when I moved here, and when I moved here in Arizona, I remember a black girl told me, and she was like, I'm going to tell you now, if all you date is black guys, you're going to have a hard time finding anyone. She was like, because the black guys they are only interested in either Hispanic women or white women. So that was told to me. That was my first impression moving here. So I was like, okay. And then what I saw was, because the friends that I was hanging around, one was mixed. She was Hispanic and black. And then my good friend Dorinda, was white, but she was married. But when we would go out, I would notice that black guys, they would immediately, be drawn to my friend Felicia. Hey, Felicia, if you ever see this video, but yeah, they were immediately attracted to her. So I thought that was, very interesting. And then the men that would come to me would be, which I found interesting, would be like older white men, or it would be men that I wasn't interested in or whatever. And then other men outside of, black guys. So I saw it firsthand. So I knew at that point, like, even though I was always open, I knew I needed to, I couldn't just focus on one group of people that I needed to date. So I just found that interesting. Now I've lived in other places, when I like lived in DC or whatever, all I dated was, black guys or whatever. So I'm not one of those types of people that have a preference, like, I need to date this type of guy. He needs to look this way. I like who I like and who's gonna like me and love me. And it was him.
Ooh, I win. But hey, guys, but Alicia won as well, first off, because I won. But seriously, I probably dated within the race with other white girls for the most part. I was always open to dating outside the race, and then I also dated a couple Latina girls as well, or Hispanic, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what the proper terminology is.
Is
Nowadays,
Hispanic. If they're Hispanic, then it needs to be called Hispanic.
Hispanic woman.
If they were Puerto Rican, they need to be called Puerto Rican.
But anyways, thank you for clarifying. But no, I didn't expose myself outside. I always wanted to see what it was like to date a black girl. That, like, I didn't think we were ever gonna get married.
Well, why were you interested in dating a black girl?
I always wanted to see what the difference.
You wanted to try it?
I wanted to try it out.
Ew. Okay, I don't think you should say that. People would be like, you want to try.
Take.
I know. Yeah, you probably would cut that. I'll probably cut that out. But But you
Yeah,
wanted
I
to.
wanted to experience what it was like to date a black female, just someone that's outside of my culture, my belief. Just I've always been open. I was raised to be open and considerate to everybody.
So let me ask you, like, what was your perception, or what were your thoughts before? Because we all have it. We all hear things about certain race. Probably won't be. It'll probably be inappropriate for me to share some of the things, but like Asian women have their stereotypes. Latin women have their stereotypes or whatever. Hispanic women have their. So what was?
You know what's so funny? Honestly, and this sounds like such a
Be honest.
canned political answer,
Uh-huh.
but I didn't have any. Like
You know what? I would believe
I
that.
have really
I believe
treated each and every individual as they should be treated.
No, it's
'Cause
not
I was
about. No, 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 no,
raised,
no.
I was raised on the golden rule,
It's
but
no.
well, listen to me. I'm not
Okay.
even done yet.
But I'm trying to say is it's not about how you would treat people. Like, what did you hear? Like, did you ever hear your friend say anything? Did you ever hear something on TV that kind of like stuck in your mind? Like, what did you hear?
My stereotype of African Americans, I don't even want to say stereotype because it sounds like such a dirty word, was that all blacks are good at sports, they can run fast, they can jump fast, and they're all into rap music.
No, I'm asking you about women. What was it? What were stereotypes that you heard about black women?
Stereotypes I've heard about black women are that they're just strong, independent, and they can speak their minds.
Okay.
If you want to get
Which
into
is true.
the terminology of the angry black girl,
Mm-hmm.
that just sounds horrible. But
so those were some of the
definitely the African American women are a lot stronger, but they say what's on their mind. But as I come to learn that they are there, but they're raised to be passionate and strong, and strong-willed emotionally, but without having been in the environment, being married to my wife for 9 years, and then being indoctrinated into her family's culture. I would never understand that because I would have never been briefed on that from my family. So if I would have been with another white woman, not that white women aren't stronger, I would have never understood what the black culture is all about and why it is those stereotypes exist in the first place.
Exactly. Good. Okay, so now we're going to switch topics and we're going to talk about cultural differences. So we just wanted to stick with one and just kind of talk about the holidays, and we'll talk about our first experiences with each other, going to his family's house for the holidays, and then he'll share his perspective. So for me, the first time I went, and when I say this is just my opinion, this is just what I personally experienced. I don't want to, I'm not trying to offend anyone, so I just want to put that disclaimer out. But so I grew up, in the South. My mom and dad, they both cooked, and my mom, when she cooked, especially for the holidays, and we'll kind of talk about like Thanksgiving or whatever, everything was from scratch. And so the first time I went to Eric's house, like yams, like my mom used sweet potatoes, and she would, put them on the stove or put them in the oven. Like she had, and I remember his mom, opening up a can of yams, and I was like, okay. And then like
I love those yams.
So
yeah, my mama's yams.
It was just something different. I don't know. Did I eat them? I don't think I ate them. I can't tell you how they taste. The next one was like, dressing. Like my family, we make dressing, like cornbread dressing. And then my mom would put, she would make it from scratch.
Look, stovetop was the king in the 90s.
Yes.
Stovetop dressing.
Yes, and they had stovetop dressing, and I was like, alrighty. Yeah. Yeah, so it was different. It was different. And then, Yeah, and then like the table, I mean, it was almost something too out of like a TV. You know how like you know your Christmas movies, your holiday movies, where the table's all set beautiful, and you have your forks and knives and the plates and all that stuff. It was set, you know, really nicely or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. And everybody's, you know, dressed nice or whatever. Well, for you know my family, typically it's a huge number of people, and so you know a table is just not big enough for how many people you know we have come over, and it's typically served buffet styles, like tables all lined up, the food all set up, whatever, and then there's tables everywhere, and everybody just you wherever you can find a place to eat, that's where you sit and eat or whatever. Now we dress nice and everybody get together, people are playing cards and football games on or whatever. I mean, it's like a big old huge family reunion. That's pretty much what it is. You know, it's just a fun time. You know, where Eric's family was a little bit more formal. So that was just something that was just different for me.
No, and it's funny you say that because it really does change year by year by year. But I agree. I think holidays are a great thing where we can talk about cultural differences. So let me talk about my upbringing as far as holidays go, because every holiday was kind of different, but we could really tackle Christmas and Thanksgiving because those are the easy ones to tackle. We'd always come together as a family. We always had a lot of people at the household. We went to my aunt and uncle's. Hi, Patsy and Steve. They hosted Thanksgiving and Christmas. I think just about every year, 9 out of 10 times. And they were always amazing hosts. We would spend the whole day. We probably went there like 7 in the morning and left at 10. I mean, so it was a long day. And we would eat throughout the day. But there are some major differences. I'll talk about what we experienced growing up, and then I'll talk about my first Thanksgiving over at Lisha and her family's house next. So first off, like I said, like we would eat all day. There's food on the table. We just mount down. We had snacks. We would watch football. We would watch basketball, whatever's on TV. We even got to the point as we got older, we had the annual basketball game, and we would always go out and play basketball for probably about an hour. It's physical, elbows knocking each other down. We got aggressive, um, but that was part of our family bonding together. But like what Lisha said with the food itself, um, I love my family, and please, I love y'all. Um, but it was different, you know, and I didn't know any better, you know, because we did eat foods that was prepared, um, not as fresh as they could have been.
And let's not say better, just say it was different.
Yeah, it was different. But I'll tell you what though, the first time I met Alicia and I went to Texas with her family for Thanksgiving, that was a unique experience. Let me tell you what. So that was probably the first time I was the only white guy in the room, which I was fine with. I had to adapt to it because I know Alicia had been in that experience either with my family or being in Arizona, being the only black girl in the room, and so I loved it. Like I favored the experience of being the only white guy in the room, and my job was to at that point was to be as open and as accommodating as I could be to put on a good front to Alicia's family, her parents, her sister, brother-in-law,
Wait a minute, a
niece.
good front? What does that
Well,
mean?
okay, not a good front.
Because
I'm
I'm
gonna
like, what you
no,
was
it's not a
pretending?
front. I'm sorry. I apologize. Not a good front. Like I want to put on a good face.
I
I'm
don't think
not
that
winning.
makes
I
it
am
any
not
better.
winning. I'm gonna,
Oh.
I'm gonna put my best foot forward. Does that
Okay,
work?
yeah, that's better.
I like that. I'm gonna put my best foot forward. And so it was super important to me to be super open and accommodating to everything that was thrown my way. Now, when it came time to eating, so my family, we'd snack all day, and then we would eat dinner at like, I don't know, 6 or 7 or
Oh, yeah.
5 or 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
When we went to Texas in my first Thanksgiving in Dallas, dinner was served at noon. And I'm like, that is so weird. Like, who
You
eats
start early.
at noon? But after we were done eating, I was like, this is the greatest thing because it's like 1 o'clock and I can have turkey again, or I can have pie again, or anything of that nature. But like Lisha said, the stuffing was prepared from cornbread.
And it's called dressing.
It's called dressing. I'm sorry. It's stuffing, dressing, whatever you want to call
No,
it.
it is a difference.
Yams were made from yams that were boiled and cooked and baked, which I've learned how to do ever since I've been with Lisha. I never had sweet potato pie. Like, I've never had that. We grew up on pumpkin pie. But having like a sweet potato pie that was like homemade, I was like, I can't have enough of this.
Oh, and you had collard greens the first time.
I did have
too.
collard greens.
Collard greens the first time.
Yeah. So holidays, as you can see, were a lot different. I'm not gonna say it's better or worse.
No.
It was a new experience, but I was open to trying it, and it was
cultural
awesome.
differences. Yeah, it really was. It was cultural differences or whatever, and we have so many stories like that, which is funny, and we talk about it afterwards and laugh about it and stuff or whatever. But the one key thing is that we're open. When I went to his parents' house or whatever the first time, I knew it was going to be different, but I was open to it or whatever. I was open to, going and experiencing it with, him and his family. And I had a great time. I felt comfortable. No one ever made me feel uncomfortable. And so it was good. So I think that's the takeaway, is that we can laugh about it and we can share the stories on, the differences or whatever, but we walk into it with an open heart and an open mind or whatever. So yeah, that was good. Okay. So the next one we want to talk about how to handle outsiders. So, like I mentioned, kind of earlier when we were talking just about, when we started, people saw that I was really serious with him, that I was engaged and stuff, and kind of, whether it's, friends, whether it is, family members, sharing their thoughts and opinions about, my relationship, with Eric. Eric has always been the same person. He's, nice, he's welcoming. And I think my perception is that, people just saw the outside and didn't take a chance to get to know him as an individual. But then when they did, they were like, he's the best, he's the best person. He's so wonderful. And so, and let me just put it out. I didn't have a lot of people, making comments or saying things or whatever, about us being together. But I think that it's important to be self-confident, and maybe it's because I love who I love, and nobody's going to dictate who I love, because at the end of the day, I go home with this person. I sleep in the same bed with this person. And you don't get to have an opinion about who I'm with. You don't. Well, you can have the opinion, but I don't care. And that's pretty much, how I looked at it and how I look at it to this day. It doesn't impact you one way or the other. That's how I look at it. So for me, it wasn't, I didn't care. That is just, I really didn't care. I know what I prayed for. I know what I asked God for. All the traits that I asked for, God blessed me with, and that's just how I look at it. And he was the one that brought Eric into my life, because to be honest with you, I was so resistant to him, because he's a good guy, and that I was just so used to dating sucky guys that I couldn't see past what was really right in front of me. And so I remember God just kind of tapping me on my shoulder and just saying, this is it. And so once I opened myself up and accepted him for him and what God had placed in front of me, we've been rocking and rolling ever since. So yeah. Well, what about you? This one is about how to handle outsiders.
Thank you.
I forgot the copy.
So I did. So how to handle outsiders. It's so a couple people, and I don't think they meant anything by it, because here in Arizona, maybe in the Phoenix area, I don't know what it is. We don't date outside the race. It hardly happens. And if we do, maybe it's a white with a Hispanic person. Is that correct again? Hispanic?
Yeah, or it could be the opposite, maybe a black guy with a
Hispanic or
Hispanic or a
something.
white. But maybe you should say your circle of people.
Yeah. So within my circle of people, um, friends, family, colleagues, coworkers, schoolmates, whatever it was, dating outside the race it wasn't like forbidden. It just didn't happen. And when Lisha and I got together and we started like getting close and like really, because honestly, I fell in love with her fast. We had an amazing time. Like we were friends for a year, and we did the telephone friendship. In fact, I was her telephone friend.
He was.
Growing up, or coming together,
Mm-hmm.
and we connected super fast. Because like when Lisha said, and I didn't know this at the time, that she accepted and opened herself to being with me. Um, I just fell in love with who she was, um, fast, and we had an amazing time.
Yeah.
And so we gelled together very fast. And I know a lot of people around me had a hard time because they always knew me as Eric Eternal E or whatever it was. And I was Mr. Single Guy, and I was Mr. Life of the Party. And all of a sudden, I had someone with me. And a lot of people, not many, and I love everyone for who they are because I don't think they meant it bad.
Yeah.
But they went, "Hey, did you know she's black?" And I'm like, "She is." It's crazy. And that's the stuff I dealt with. And that was fine. And I'm like, I love it. I love who she is. I love who she is for who she is, her skin color or not. Like she was an amazing person, and I couldn't get enough of her, and I wanted more of her, and so I did. I married her. But I experienced the first time I really experienced racism towards her or towards me that affected me is I had a guy that wrote an email to me, and Peyton was really small at the time, and this guy was mad at me. That's fine. Um, we had an issue, and then at the end of the email, he called me a Negro lover. Well, he used the actual term, which we're not going to go down that path.
Mm-hmm.
But he used that term Negro lover, and I was so upset because he tried to burn a hole through me, but really he shot through my wife and my son, and that really hurt me to experience that pain. Um, but my wife, she is such an amazing woman. She is so strong. She said, "Eric, I love you. That's not who you are. That's not who I am." And so we're okay. That was the gist of that conversation. And she was super strong, and that's what I love about her most. And so outside influences, they never bother us, and they should never bother you guys as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, if you're out there and you're dating or you're, you know, single and you're not for sure because it's not the norm in the circle that you hang around, but you are interested in, someone that maybe doesn't have the same skin tone as you, skin is skin, at the end of the day. And I know this is kind of a harsh analogy, sorry. But if you got burnt in the fire, I know I said it was harsh. You were burnt majority of your body. No one be able to tell you, tell what skin color you are, but you're still a human being. You still have a soul, and you need to remember that because that's what's important. It shouldn't matter. I know so many people focus on what's on the outside that if they stop for 1 second and say, "Let me stop," because, and I'm going to use another analogy that's probably harsh too or whatever, but if you're blind, you don't know what color anybody is. All you're going by is somebody's voice and how they treat you. So if we could walk around blind, and stop focusing on what somebody looks like on the outside, and just get to know people and judge them based on their character, what this world would look like. Just pause for a second and think about that. So we just want to make sure you guys, know that, we love each other. For you guys to love who you love or get to know people and get to know their character, we want to do some takeaways, because we shared all of this, and the focus of us doing these videos is really about marriage, how we've come together and how we've made our marriage work. Once again, not saying that we have the perfect marriage or anything like that, but if these little tidbits that we've experienced can help somebody else, we want to do that. We also want to share mental health little kind of takeaways and tidbits. So for us, it is, acceptance, accepting an individual for who they are, culture differences and everything. For me, I've accepted him for who he is. Yeah, it's taken me some time. Some things drive me crazy. Some things I'm like, seriously, or whatever, or things that I feel like he should know and he doesn't know, or whatever, or him saying like, who is that on TV? Is that, I don't know, some black person that kind of look like that black person? I'm like, no, all black people do not look alike. I mean,
I told you that.
Yeah, you do it because you did it the other day, and I was like, nah, all black people look alike.
She does that with Ryan Gosling and Ryan Reynolds.
No, I
the
gave
time.
him an example of somebody that I would probably do
time.
that. No, I don't even talk about them like that because they're irrelevant to me. But anyway, but yeah, so it's just, accepting, and then also just, be happy. Be happy. Be happy with yourself. Be happy with the person that you've chosen to be with. Be happy with, your surroundings. Don't let outside influences influence your life. It's your life. Live your life and live it for you. So, your takeaways.
You know what, guys? This is a video where we talk about ourselves a little bit. We talk about our journey, and then we want to bring it back to you guys. And so this is we do the takeaways. This is my takeaways. First off is acceptance. We gotta accept each other. It doesn't matter if you guys are the same race, if you guys are a different race, if you guys have the same backgrounds, you guys have different backgrounds coming together. Which more than likely, when you have a union of two different people, they're going to have different backgrounds and different cultural upbringings. Mm-hmm. And so when you talk about bringing this together, that you guys need to accept one another's differences and mold that to fit your guys' lives. Yeah. And so we talk about bringing his life and her life together, and we're going to bring it together, and we're going to bond those things. And some things kind of get lost behind, and maybe your family members will be like, remember when you used to do this and used to do that, but really you're taking characteristics that may or may not fit her and may or not fit him, and you guys are bringing that together. So you got to be accepting of who they are as individuals, regardless of race, creed, belief, gender, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Second one is self-confidence. You have to love yourself, because especially for my wife and I, we might hear little whispers of like, hey, why are you with that person? Why are you with that person? That person's not good for you, or that person's not made for you because they are or this or that or this, right? It doesn't care if you're strong enough to know that you're doing the right thing and you're loving the right person for who they are, again, regardless of race, religion, creed, anything, that you're doing the right thing. But you have to have self-confidence to be able to make that happen. And lastly is love one another. It doesn't matter who it's supposed to be, what it's supposed to be. If we love, a lot of things about this world would be much better. Yeah. That's our mental health takeaways.
Yep. So please, guys, give us feedback. we would love to hear kind of like if you are in an interracial relationship, whether you're dating, whether you're married, but we would love to hear some of your cultural differences and how you've been able to, accept them and make them a part of your household cultures or whatever. And then also, we would love to hear kind of like your stories on how you've been able to, deal with outside, people making comments about, your relationship. And then also, we just want to, get your feedback. So, any feedback, please share with us. This is new for us, so we're trying not to make it too long, but I think these are all good things to kind of share with you guys. It's kind of telling a story. So once again, thank you guys for joining us, for watching our channel, our video. Please share our video, please like, and until next time, we will talk to you guys later.
Bye. Guys.